Good morning, all. My name is Greg Weimer, and I am the Director of International Students and Scholars here at Colorado State University. And this is the first of many in the future, I think, of kind of some pre-arrival sessions that give us a chance just to connect, get to connect with students even before they arrive, which is exciting. And it gives you all an opportunity to ask questions down the road and during some of these sessions. And so hopefully this will be a valuable session for you. We look forward to this, and this is actually kind of an exciting one. We call it Meet the ISSS Staff. And so it gives you a chance just to maybe get to know us a little bit before you come and see some smiling faces. And so when you arrive, you're going to say, hey, I met John on a Zoom session or a pre-arrival session, or I met Aaron, or I met Mary, and that kind of thing. And so it really does give you a sense that, hey, we're not just people sitting behind desks, but we're actual people, and we love interacting with international students. And so we are excited that you're here. I would encourage you, if you have cameras, feel free to turn your cameras on. Not required, of course. And we have you all muted right now, but towards the end of the session, we'll give you some opportunities to ask some questions. Also in the chat box, there's going to be times where you can actually send a chat to people or ask a question. And so feel free to put those questions in, and towards the end, we'll go through some of those sessions as well. So, but with that, I am going to turn it over to Lisa. Lisa is our Associate Director of Student Success and Retention here in our office, and she is going to facilitate the session. And so I will turn it over to Lisa. And again, welcome. We are glad you're here. And if you do lose connection, just rejoin us, and you should have the chance to rejoin as many times as you like. We do realize that in some places of the world, internet can be spotty, and so that's okay. Just log back on if you get kicked off. And other than that, we are glad to see you here, and we look forward to talking to you here. So Lisa, take it away.
Great, thank you, Greg. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. We thank you for joining us, and we are so grateful to have you here, and we hope that this session will be informative and hopefully an opportunity, like as Greg said, to get to interact with us and hopefully help you provide information that's going to make it easier for you to journey towards CSU. And so to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to have the staff introduce themselves. And so if ISSS staff, if you could, in 2 minutes or less, answer the following questions for our group: your name, your role, where you're from, what you like about CSU or Fort Collins, and if you've ever traveled abroad, what was that experience like? I know 2 minutes is not very long, but we have a lot of staff and we want to leave some time for questions. So why don't we go ahead? I'll just call out somebody. John, why don't we start with you?
Great, I get to go first. Hi, everyone. My name is John Hildebrand. I use he, him pronouns. I am a senior advisor in the International Student and Scholars Office. I've been here for about 5 years. I'm originally from Edmond, Oklahoma. So Oklahoma is kind of in the central United States. What do I like about CSU? Wow. I love the people. The people are great here. People in our office are fascinating, kind, really motivated people that love to be in service of international students and scholars. I also love the kind of crazy weather in Fort Collins. Sometimes it's really sunny and warm, and sometimes we get 5 inches of snow like we did yesterday. So it is always exciting. I have traveled abroad and lived abroad. I've been to about 30 or so different countries. And then I did a study abroad when I was an undergraduate student in Costa Rica. So I learned some Spanish while I was there. And then I lived in Japan for 2 years near Kyoto. I was teaching English in a high school there. And so I learned some Japanese too. So if you speak Spanish or Japanese or Portuguese, I know a little bit of Portuguese, I'd like to practice with you. Excited to have you all here.
Okay, thank you, John. Hey, Christy, why don't we go on to you next?
Hi, my name is Christy Eiler. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Associate Director for International Student Services, and I also work with our sponsored student population. I was born in Atchison, Kansas, but haven't called that home since I was in 4th grade and have lived several places since. What do I love about CSU? I think the folks who work at CSU, most of us are just really dedicated to supporting our students and making sure that you have a positive experience while you're here. I love that about this community. I think it's a great place to work for that reason. Fort Collins is awesome because we're right by the mountains, and I love getting out into nature and doing stuff in the mountains. And it's also just a really friendly, welcoming community, a really nice place to live. I've also traveled quite a bit and had the opportunity to live in Bolivia for 2 years. I was a Peace Corps volunteer there. It was an amazing experience. I met so many wonderful people and learned so much while I was there. And I just love having the opportunity to experience other cultures and meet new people around the world. So I guess that's how I ended up working with international students.
Great, thank you. Rochelle?
Welcome, everybody.
Oh, good. Thanks, Rochelle.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rochelle Breen. In English, my pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I'm an international student and scholar advisor here at CSU. I answer the question, where am I from, by saying kind of all over, because I was born in Florida. At 3, I moved up to Michigan. Michigan is a very snowy, cold place in the Great Lakes region of the United States, very close to Canada. And when I was in high school, when I was 16, my family moved to Tennessee, and that's where I finished high school and started and finished college. After that, I ended up living in Texas and then Oklahoma, and now I'm here in Colorado, so kind of from all over. In terms of what I like about CSU and Fort Collins, a lot of the things that the other folks said, I really appreciate about this area, but the new thing that I will say is that I think because I've lived in so many places, I really appreciate that Fort Collins and CSU are very open to change and very ambitious. They have goals. And I think many places I've lived before really aren't open to change. They just want to keep doing things the way they have. I have lived abroad. I lived in Japan, both in Tokyo and then Maebashi in Gunma Prefecture. And then I taught English in Chengzhou, China as well. Those are the only places I've been abroad. I gained so much from that experience and made so many lifelong friends, and learned a lot about myself too. So that was a great experience. Nice to meet y'all.
Erin, why don't we go to you next?
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Wish. I use she, her pronouns. I am also an international student and scholar services advisor. I am originally from a small town called Battleground, Washington. That is not Washington, D.C. That is Washington State, over on the west side of the country. Things that I like about CSU, similar to what Rochelle said, I do think there's a culture of people trying to better themselves and improve. And I also like the overall culture in Fort Collins of there's lots of outdoor activities, hiking, biking, lots of trails. So I really appreciate that. I have traveled and lived abroad. I think I've been to 22 different countries. And when I was an undergraduate student, I studied abroad in Townsville, Australia. It was a very difficult experience in the beginning. I went through a lot of culture shock that I didn't anticipate with it being an English-speaking country. So regardless of where you're coming from, I think I can relate to there always being an adjustment phase when you arrive. I'm happy to have you here.
Paul, why don't we go to you next?
Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Collier, and I am originally from Tennessee. Spent most of my life in the South, actually, southern part of the United States, Tennessee, Florida, that area. My role here in International Student Scholar Services is mostly tied to employment-based immigration work. So a lot of what I do is working with international faculty and staff that have been hired by the university to get them in the right status to work here for the university. I like CSU for all the same reasons everybody else has already mentioned. Great people, dedicated staff. And Fort Collins is a pretty fun place to live, I think. It's there's just a lot to explore. I know my wife and I are looking forward to walking downtown just to look at the holiday lights sometime soon. I've not ever lived abroad. I can say, though, that seems like whenever my wife and I are talking, it always circles back to she wants to go visit family, which are in England. So that's, you know, the sort of the main focus when we're talking about travel is getting back to see family.
Great, thank you, Paul. And now we have a great team of folks that will help with getting your documents. And so we'll start off with Zach.
Hello, my name is Zach Downey. I am from Brazil, Indiana, although I have been to Brazil, South America. I have been here at CSU for just over 3 years. I love CSU and Fort Collins for all of those reasons. I think it's great that almost nobody that you meet here is from here. So you get to come to Fort Collins and then meet people from all over the US and from abroad. Yeah, so I create the Form I-20 and DS 2019 along with a couple of other folks in our office. So many of you have my autograph on your document, or you will soon. So I love being able to play a part in bringing people here to experience the US and the amazing school of Colorado State University. Let's see, I have, in addition to going to Brazil, South America, have been to Thailand and a little bit of time in Mexico. And then I was in French Polynesia for just a little bit, exploring Tahiti mainly and Moorea. Look forward to seeing you all in person.
Great, thank you, Zach. Melora.
Good morning, my name is Melora Munn. I am also an immigration document technician. So I work with Zach and a few others in the office to create the I-20s to get you all here. I'm originally from New England. I grew up in Massachusetts and Maine and New Hampshire, lived on the East Coast in Virginia, lived in Idaho, lived in Rhode Island, and we've been here for about 15 years at Fort Collins. I graduated from CSU about 7 years ago myself, enjoyed every minute of it, loved the professors, loved the campus, loved the people and the community. Fort Collins is absolutely very welcoming to everyone who, as Zach said, pretty much everybody's from somewhere else. So it's great to meet other people who enjoy this area, this lifestyle, this state, and CSU. Our office is extremely supportive of all of our students and everyone here on campus. So please reach out to anybody if you have any questions. We're all a big happy family here in ISSS, and very happy to help you get here so you can pursue your dreams at CSU.
Great, thank you. Melinda?
Hi, everyone. My name is Melinda LaBelle, and I'm the SEVIS coordinator. And that means that I help manage your SEVIS record, your immigration record. So you will be probably getting emails from me pre-arrival and as you arrive. And let's see, next question. I have traveled in many countries. I can't remember how many. I've spent a time in France, probably summer after college, and I've traveled in Europe. I lived for a year in Tunisia, actually, that was about 20 years ago. And I am half Korean, so I've traveled to Korea as well. I am not originally from Fort Collins. I grew up in San Jose, California on the West Coast, but I've lived all over the United States. I've lived in Colorado for just about 3 years. I love Colorado because of the mountains. We're about an hour from Rocky Mountain National Park, and it is an amazing park. There's also amazing ski resorts and hiking, and in the summer and the winter. So it's amazing to be so close to beautiful mountains. The city of Fort Collins is also just an amazing university city with so much to do, lots of culture, people from all over, as our staff has mentioned. It's also very safe and has a wonderful downtown, lots of outdoor. The weather here can be cold, but there's so much sun here. I think there's 300 something days of sun a year. So that is really amazing. Even when it's cold, the sun is so warm, and we're at a higher elevation, 5,000 feet approximately. So you feel the sun a lot. You need a lot of sunscreen, but it's amazing weather here. And the people are wonderful. I think that's it. Was there anything that I missed?
Nope, that was great. Thank you.
Great. Nice to meet all of you. Looking forward to seeing you in person.
Great. And now we have a team of folks that are here to help with your engagement and planning some fun. So Brahman, why don't we start with you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Bronwyn Watts. I am the Assistant Director for Programming here. That means that I help plan events, whether they're academic, social, or cultural. I grew up with my dad in the military, so we moved my whole life every 2 or so years, 2 to 4 years. And then I maybe learned that I like to move around and have continued doing so after I left home. It's really hard to go last after everyone has said all the things they love about CSU and Fort Collins. So without trying to repeat anything, I think CSU is beautiful. I do think that has probably been said. But one of the things I love about Fort Collins is, as others have said, even though the weather's crazy, there is a lot of time, even in the winter, where it's absolutely beautiful. And there's almost always something to do in Fort Collins, regardless of the time of year and regardless of the weather. So I really like that aspect of things. And I have traveled and lived abroad. I grew up for the first 5 years of my life in Italy, and then I've lived in Canada and have family that lives in England, and have also just done a lot of traveling on my own and studied abroad. And it's really nice to meet all of you virtually, and we look forward to seeing you in January.
Great, thanks, Bronwyn. And Mary?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary. I work with Bronwyn. I'm a programming coordinator, and I've been here in this position for the last 1.5 years, but I did graduate from CSU. So I've been at CSU for the last while. So I'm glad that you all are here. I'm originally from Loveland, Colorado, which is only 20 minutes away from Fort Collins. But the funny thing is I did not grow up here. I grew up across the world in China. And so I don't really count that as my study abroad experience. I just count that as another place I'm from. And I do speak Mandarin Chinese. So if there's any Chinese speakers out there, we can practice. Something I love about Fort Collins and CSU is the view of the mountains. You can see the mountains pretty much anywhere you go. And then I love Old Town. That's like our downtown area in Fort Collins. There's always something to do. There's always restaurants, places to go on the weekends. And during the winter, they put lights in literally all of the trees, and it's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. So I hope you get to experience that when you come. For me, studying abroad, I count coming to CSU as my study abroad experience. It was very different, and I felt like an international student, even though I'm from America. So I understand how many of you are feeling. I was very nervous, and it was a lot of work, and it was a little scary, but it was totally worthwhile. And now here I am many years later. So I've also traveled to some other countries, mainly in Asia, and that's pretty much it. So welcome to CSU. We're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Great, thank you, Mary. And Greg, did you want to introduce yourself again?
I do, because I didn't get to answer some of the fun questions here. So again, Greg Weimer, Director of International Students and Scholars. And I find it fascinating as we've kind of introduced ourselves. I'm learning stuff about the staff in terms of where they've traveled and things. So it's really kind of fun. Not only do you get to know us a little better, we all get to know each other just a little bit better as well. And so it's a lot of fun. My role here is just to help lead and direct and really encourage. I find myself as a role as an encourager and really kind of roll my sleeves up, so to speak, and help out wherever I can when there's a need that arises. So it's really great. I've been in the field of international education for about 25 years and absolutely love it. I'm relatively new to Fort Collins. Actually, this is my 5th month. I joined CSU in July. And so what I like about Fort Collins, so I'm from, so I was born in Pueblo, just 2.5 hours south of Fort Collins, but I left Pueblo when I was 4.5, and I grew up in the upper Midwest, so in North Dakota and Minnesota, and lived most of my time in Minnesota. So I would tell you that I'm from Minnesota. And one of the things I love about Fort Collins is, believe it or not, so in the southwest corner of Minnesota, it's like plains. It's flat. There's nothing. There's trees, but it's so windy up there. And so on a typical day up in upper Midwest, maybe 27 mile per hour winds. And so during the winter, it gets bitterly cold because of that. And so I have gotten an apartment kind of as I transition here that's just about a mile off campus or a mile from the office. And it's so calm all the time. And so there's not a lot of wind. There's some wind, but not like there is up in the upper Midwest. So I do like kind of, even when it's winter and it's cold, it doesn't feel cold, at least not to me. To some of you coming from warm climates, it's going to be cold during the wintertime, but it is moderate, I would suggest. I have traveled all over the world. One of my favorite places to travel is to China. I've been there 3 times. I have studied Mandarin for 8 years, and so I am passionate about that. But I think my favorite place in the world that I've been to is actually Singapore. Such a beautiful city. I absolutely love that city and that country. And so yeah, that's kind of a little bit of background on myself. Again, welcome, glad that you're here, and I will turn it back to Lisa. Lisa, you can introduce yourself because I briefly introduced you.
Great, thank you. Well, again, my name is Lisa, and I'm the Associate Director of Student Success and Retention. I've been at CSU for 23 years now, and in the field for about 30 years. So I have a long background in international education. But I'm originally from the Framingham, Massachusetts, which is just outside of Boston. And I lived sometime in just outside of Philadelphia when I did my graduate studies. What I love about CSU and Fort Collins, and CSU, I love the fact that it's a university really committed to the success of our students and the care of our students. And so that's really an important value to me in terms of a place to work. With Fort Collins, the sun definitely is my favorite part of Fort Collins, being able to enjoy the good weather and, as others have said, many other wonderful attributes about Fort Collins. I have traveled as well on numerous countries outside of the US, a lot through Europe and Asia. I have visited Nepal, Papua, Indonesia, and spent a number of visits in India, which I have enjoyed thoroughly and look forward to hopefully going back to once again. But that's a little bit about me. And now what we're going to do for the remainder of our time together is hopefully provide you with some helpful information that's going to help you to, as I said, to journey to Fort Collins and to CSU more easily. And so to begin, we're going to talk about getting your immigration document. And Melora is going to share a little bit about that process.
Sure. So if any of you are coming for January start and don't have your I-20 yet, we just need your basics, your financial support, and your passport. And of course, you have to be admitted already. So once you are admitted, you should be getting communication and email forms. So please check your email accounts and see if there's anything that you need to submit for us to be able to generate that I-20 and get it back to you. And if anybody has any questions, you can certainly email in to ISSS and, you know, give us a background or what you might need, what you think you're missing. Like I said, the biggest things are the financial support, whether it's personal, student loan, educational scholarships, or sponsor letters. All those need to be submitted. And then your current passport and any information, if you're a transfer student, if you're currently an F1 student and you're going to be transferring your SEVIS record, we need to know that as well to get that set up. The other big one would be if you're bringing dependents with you, we need to know that information as well. And you would need to submit your dependent documents so that we can get them onto your F1 visa. Everything is on our website. If you look into colorado-state.edu, you can search for any of these bits of information and everything is spelled out pretty well there. But otherwise, give us a shout if you have any questions. Myself and Zach are included in that process.
Great, thank you. And now John's going to share with us a few tips about applying for your visa.
Yeah, so some of you may already have received your F1 or J1 visa to attend here at CSU, but some of you may be going through that process right now. So the process can differ and does differ depending on the post, the consulate, or the embassy where you are applying, but there are some sort of consistent pieces that we want to give you advice on to help you hopefully get that visa. And the first thing to consider is that these visas, F1 and J1 visas, are non-immigrant visas. So the primary job of the consular official is going to be to verify that you have non-immigrant intent, which means that you have temporary intent in the United States to come here and study and then depart the United States. So it's important to consider your situation and to make sure that you are establishing non-immigrant intent so that you have a story that you're communicating to the consular officer that you intend to come to the United States for a temporary period of time to study and then depart the United States. So please consider that prior to your visa appointment. I think also it's really important that I mentioned your story, that your story is consistent, that it makes sense. Typically in a visa interview, you have, if you're lucky, maybe 2 to 3 minutes with a consular official, which is very short. These consular posts are very busy. There's lots of visa applicants. So you don't have a lot of time. And so what the consular officials are doing is they're really trying to make sure that your story makes sense in a very short period of time. So you want to I would say, is make sure your story is consistent, that it's concise, that you can communicate your plans relatively quickly and consistently with the consular officer. Anything that might be inconsistent in your story, even if it's a small inconsistency, can be reason for a visa denial. Another piece of advice is just to make sure that your story is consistent and that everything makes sense and that you're able to communicate that in a short period of time. I think it's important to be positive, to be kind of excited about the opportunity. You should know some information about the program that you're coming to. So they might ask you why you intend to enroll at CSU. How does that fit into your career plans? And you should be able to answer those questions. They want to make sure that you are a bona fide student, which means that you have the intent of coming here and participating in the program. So they would expect you to know some information about your program. Some students ask about documents. You should get instructions from the post, from the embassy or the consulate regarding which documents that you need to bring with you. In most cases, because you only have 2 to 3 minutes, the consular official is not going to want to just sort through documents during that amount of time. Usually they're going to be asking you questions for the most part, but you want to have some supporting documents with you. And again, the consulate or the embassy should communicate with you if you need to bring any supporting documents with you. Of course, you need to have your Form I-20 or your Form DS 2019 if you're a J student, I-20 if you're an F student, your passport, and then they'll let you know some other documents you may have to bring. I think those are the most important considerations. If you haven't already scheduled your visa appointment, that's okay. You do want to try to get your visa appointment scheduled relatively soon if you're coming for spring. Of course, you need your immigration document before you can schedule your visa appointment. If you have other questions, you can let us know, but I think in general, those are the best tips we can provide you, and best of luck in getting your visas.
Great, thank you, John. Getting ready for CSU, Rochelle?
Hi, everyone. I have 5 tips for getting ready for CSU. First, think about water, because Fort Collins is a high elevation, a high altitude desert. So in the air, there is not much water. What that means is you need to drink more water. You need to have lotion or moisturizer. And there's something called a humidifier, which it's essentially like a reservoir of water that puts steam into the air. So look into that for your home to try and keep things good for you. Second, the temperatures change a lot here. I've seen it change 50 degrees Fahrenheit in one day. And so it can go from very cold to really quite warm in one day, especially in spring and fall. So think about layers is this tip. Because then you can take off layers and you're not too hot, or you can put them on and you're not too cold. My third tip is that the United States is a very legalistic place. You'll be signing lots of documents in your time here. So if you don't understand things, make sure you're asking questions, because once you sign something, you're accepting that agreement. And it's surprised a lot of our students before. Fourth, your email. Check your CSU email once you get it, or if we're currently communicating with you through your personal email, read the emails that CSU sends you. It contains really important information, and so many of our students have been surprised to learn that they miss really important emails from us that included really important information. And my last tip is, we've talked about culture shock a little bit, and one of the things that has been shown to help someone deal with culture shock is to have a new hobby, something enjoyable, something that doesn't feel like work to them, but is still new that they can learn, like learning to play a new instrument, like joining a dance club. There are lots of student organizations on campus. So try to think about something fun that you want to try and do on the side, and that can help make it easier to adjust to living in Fort Collins. Thanks.
All right, and now resources for housing, Bronwyn.
Hi again, everyone. So hopefully you have already secured your housing for when you get to campus. If you have not yet, there are some resources that I will provide. So the first is, at this point, It will be difficult to get into university housing unless you are a first year undergraduate international student here. And first year would be like, you would be like a freshman. So you would have to have, forget the credits that you have to have fewer than, but you basically have to be in your first year as a freshman to be guaranteed housing. So if you have not yet found housing, the best resource is probably going to be our, thank you, less than 14 credits is what you have to be considered first year for guaranteed housing. So I just put in the chat a link to Off-Campus Life, to their housing page for international students. And at this point, that is going to be probably the best resource to look for apartments off campus. There's opportunities to connect with potential roommates. However, you can still apply for campus housing, and you can be on that wait list to see when you may be able to move in. And so the link for campus housing is going to be this housing.colestate.edu. And when you go to that page, there's a number of different things. But if you look at the top, there'll be a link to housing, and it'll drop down multiple menus. And you can look at either residence halls or university apartments. So residence halls are going to be the dorms. Typically, you're going to have undergraduates living there. The university apartments are going to be near campus, but not directly on campus, but they are apartments managed by CSU. And you'll typically have graduate students and sometimes older undergraduate students and families will be in those types of apartments. So if you have not yet secured housing, I would suggest very strongly that you start looking now if you haven't already. And if you do have questions or anything like that, we do have some people here that can help in the chat. So if you wanted to share questions that you have about that, you can put those in the chat. But the Off-Campus Life, the Office of Off-Campus Life and Housing are the two links I put in the chat, and those are going to be your best resources to be looking for housing if you have not already done so.
Great, thank you. And then John and Bronwyn, if you could talk a little bit about connecting with a cultural mentor.
Sure, I'll start out. So we have a program that's called Cultural Mentors, and this is a program where new incoming students can connect with a current student at CSU to help them get some answers and to get some information about what it's like to be a student at CSU. You should have received an email that has a link to sign up for the program, the Cultural Mentor program. We can also share a link in the chat here. I'll do that in just a minute. Bronwyn's got it. Thanks, Bronwyn. So you can follow that link and you can sign up for the program, and we will send out an email pairing you with a current student that will be your cultural mentor. And then when you're here on campus, you can arrange to meet up with that student. So it's a good way to connect with someone who's currently here at CSU. So please do that if you'd like, sign up, and we'll connect you soon.
Bronwyn, did you want to add anything? No,
I think John covered it, just that we put that link in the chat. So if you haven't signed up through the email that you got, or you can't find the email, the link is right there in the chat.
Okay, just a quick question. Do we want to have the opportunity for students to ask questions, or shall we wait till the end?
I think let's wait till the end. Actually, if you do have questions, just as a quick reminder, feel free to type them in the chat. We can answer them as we go as well. So that'll be good. But as we start talking about some things and it spurs a question or a thought, don't be bashful. If you have that question, there's probably 5 other people in the group that have a similar question. So that's great. So.
Okay, great. Thanks, Greg. So when students are getting ready to arrive at CSU, how do we assist them in that process? Greg, can you talk a little bit about your soft landing?
Yeah, so we kind of have this idea of a soft landing. Let me describe it a little bit. So during our adventures, if this is your first international travel trip, and for some of you it might not be, but for some of you it will be, there's always a little bit of anxiety when you get on an airplane, right? And you're like going up into the sky, and then basically when you land, you're really hoping for kind of this soft landing. I'll give you kind of one of my experiences. I think I was in either in Bangladesh or Vietnam. I can't remember which city it was, that we came in for a landing. And basically, as we approached the runway, it must have been a new pilot, because all of a sudden the plane went bam, and we landed. But then all the way up to the gate, taxiing to the gate, you could just hear the bearings and the wheels just going, and it was really loud. And it was like, wow, that wasn't that smooth, right? Well, our intent when you get here to Fort Collins is to really provide you with a soft landing and help you transition to Fort Collins, to CSU. And so we do that in a number of ways. Now, first of all, like Bronwyn mentioned, one of the ways that's going to help you immediately as far as having a soft landing is to really think intentionally about housing and preparing for where you're going to live prior to getting to the US. And so that's going to be key. But there are times where you're going to have a lot of questions, and it is what we want to do is kind of set this expectation that you can always come to our office and see these smiling faces. And as you have questions and as you have concerns or obstacles or hurdles that are coming up as you transition, our goal is to help make it as smooth of a process as we possibly can. And so whether that's orientation, and Bronwyn will talk a little bit about that in the near future or in a little bit here, but we have orientation that's going to help provide you with information to help you be successful. We'll continue to provide opportunities for you to be learn how to be successful, not only in your academics, but also just in your day-to-day life as you transition. And as you experience, Rochelle actually just briefly mentioned culture shock, and that's natural. It happens to anyone who goes to a different country. And so there is going to be a transitional period. And so it's our intent to make sure that you have just a fantastic experience. So we want to set your expectations high, and then we want to meet those expectations. And so with that, that's just kind of this premise of a soft landing. And one of the ways Lisa, I'll just transition to Rochelle, because she's going to talk a little bit about transportation from Denver International Airport. And so maybe I'll just transition straight to Rochelle and kind of talk or prepare them on how they can actually envision themselves landing at the airport and what opportunities there are to get to Fort Collins.
I thought Bronwyn was going to talk about that.
Oh, maybe that's Bronwyn. Sorry.
Okay.
That's Bronwyn. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry, I have a question.
So once you've actually landed at the airport,
yes,
Bronwyn's going to give you information about how you're going to get to the campus.
Yes.
So the easiest way to get to campus is actually going to take a groom shuttle. So I'm putting the link in the chat for groom transportation. And it's a shuttle that will pick you up. So after you have, if you go through customs at DIA, you'll do that first. If you've gone through customs somewhere else, then you'll just collect your bags. And then you'll go out to the location where the shuttle picks up. You'll take the shuttle, it'll bring you to Fort Collins, to their transportation center. And then they'll go off into smaller vans where they'll drop you off at your apartment, your dorm. If you're staying with a friend or something like that, they'll drop you off there. So they'll drop you off, pick you up directly at the airport and drop you off at whatever location you provide them. It is about, you need to expect to spend about $55 or so to get there. And they run pretty regularly. So you can generally get a groom shuttle pretty soon after you land. The great thing is when you plug in your information, it will show you the options that you have. And if you ever are delayed in your travels at any point, when you do arrive, you can go, there's a desk that you can go talk to, or there's a number you can call or email or text, and they can help you arrange for a different shuttle. So even if you miss the shuttle that you had planned to be on because of a flight delay or any issue with travels, they can help you reschedule that and get on the next available shuttle. It does include some baggage. I believe it's maybe like 2 bags per person plus, you know, a carry-on. And then there's a small charge for additional bags. But that is going to be your easiest way to get here because it will get you essentially from the airport directly to your door. You can obviously take a cab or Uber, Lyft kinds of things. I don't recommend it. It will be very expensive. The shuttle is really going to be your best bet and the easiest thing. So the link for that is there. And I highly recommend that that's the option you take. If you do have friends or anything like that, that is a viable option as well.
Great. And then once you have arrived to campus, we have an orientation program that both Bronwyn and Mary organize. And so you'll meet all of our staff during that time. But Bronwyn, do you want to talk a little bit about, here's the Bronwyn, we're doing the Bronwyn hour now. If you could talk a little bit about orientation.
Sure. So we have I just, again, posted a link in the chat for our orientation page. On that page, you'll find both our tentative schedule for spring orientation, as well as the registration for orientation. So you can access both of those. The thing that I will note is if you are an undergraduate student, there are unfortunately 2 registrations that we need you to do. One is through the Orientation and Transitions Program website or link that you will have gotten. And that is for orientation that will be taking place on Wednesday and Thursday. And then it goes into some other things Friday, Saturday, Sunday. However, there's an International Orientation Day on Tuesday as well through our office, and we have optional events throughout the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There'll be different things that are happening, and there are a number of different things. So please go onto that website that I posted in the link. Please register through the link that is there as well, because that is going to be the best way for you to stay updated about information. It's the best way for us to know who is expected to come. And a couple of things that are really important to know are we are going to have sort of a hybrid orientation where the mandatory, some of the mandatory components are going to happen in advance, virtually, or that you can access ahead of time. So there will be a Zoom session with the CSU Health Network that will be held on January 5th. And we will have a link for that. You'll also have your immigration information session accessible as a Canvas module. That will become available probably sometime this month. And there will be an academic integrity session that will be accessible online, also on Canvas in December. So those are things you actually should complete before orientation week on January 9th starts. And then January 9th, we'll have optional sessions throughout the day from someone to talk about billing, student accounts and billing, how to pay your student account, how to access it, how and when you'll be billed, how to make payments, things like that. We'll also have some off-campus resources available. Some cell phone companies will be here. So if you need a new cell phone or a cell phone plan or a SIM card, those are all things that will be available on that Monday, January 9th. We'll also have the bank that is here on campus, First National Bank, will be here in the office to help you set up a bank account and to answer some questions if you have about banking. We'll have a transportation workshop to learn how to get around campus and Fort Collins. That will be followed by a shopping trip. So you'll learn how you can use public transportation, and then we'll take public transportation to go get whether you need food or some things like bedding. And then we'll have just a game night and pizza party that evening. Tuesday, January 10th is a mandatory orientation day. It's only going to be a half day that is mandatory. So I believe it's going to start at 8 a.m. and it will go until about 1 o'clock with lunch and some items in the morning, coffee and possibly a breakfast. I'm not exactly sure about that. Stay tuned for those details. But the afternoon will also have some optional sessions like a campus tour and some fun events in the evening. And then undergrads will continue into a mandatory orientation on Wednesday, and then there'll be some optional events throughout the week as well. So there's a lot of things. I tried to just briefly cover what is going to be there, but please go onto that website that I provided and you'll see the schedule, you'll see what's available. You will be able to register. So please go and do that so that we have all that information.
Great, thank you, Bronwyn. We encourage you to come to orientation. It's a great time, not only to get a lot of good information, but also to meet other students and make connections. And so please do try to make all possible effort to be there. John, if I was wanting to, how would advisors help me transition to CSU and the CSU campus?
Yeah, great question. So as advisors in the ISSS office, we really want to be a point of contact for you. We sort of say, if you're not sure where to go, you can come to us. We don't always have the answers, but we can connect you with someone that can have the answer. I think one of the challenges for students is really navigating the campus and the community, and ISSS advisors can be a good point of contact for you if you need some assistance. Rochelle is going to talk a little bit about on a day-to-day basis what situations a student might reach out for an appointment. But in general, we can just be a point of contact for you. If you're not sure where to go, you have a cultural adjustment challenges, or you're having academic issues, or you're have a question about your immigration status, you can always check in with us.
Okay, Rochelle.
Thanks. Apparently I like counting, so I'm gonna share 6 things with you that are kind of like the biggest categories I see on a day-to-day basis from our international students reaching out to us. First, a lot of times they're reaching out about enrollment questions. So how many online classes can I take? I'm not doing well in this class, can I drop it? That sort of question is kind of like the first thing that I noticed. The second is, maybe not right away, but at some point in your time here, you'll want to travel internationally, maybe either to go home and see family, or to just travel because you want to travel internationally, or for a conference academically. So we answer a lot of questions because, of course, you're going to have to re-enter the US, and there are some important documents and things to keep in mind when you travel internationally as an F1 or a J1. The third sort of question we get a lot is employment. So can I work on campus? How many hours can I work on campus? What situations would I be able to work off campus? Employment questions. Fourth, sometimes our office will send you scary emails because you dropped below full time. And this happens, unfortunately, more often than I wish it happened. But when those scary emails come to students who have dropped below full time enrollment levels, then our office is going to send them emails, because if they don't get enrolled at the proper level, they're going to have to leave the US because they lose their status. So that's something that we talk with people through and help them understand the situation. The fifth thing is health insurance and just general campus billing situations. We answer a lot of questions because health insurance in the US is a very unique and complicated thing. And then campus billing is also its kind of own culture. So we walk students through that a lot of times too. And then at some point you're going to finish your academics here and you're going to have post-graduation plans to think about. And so that's the last thing that we most commonly talk to students about. Thanks.
Okay. And John, how would somebody get a hold of us if they needed it?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different ways that you can get in contact with an ISSS advisor. One of those is called open advising. So these are hours in which an ISSS advisor is available to you. You don't need an appointment. You can either come to our office or you can join us virtually on Zoom. You have the option, whatever's more convenient for you. So those hours are Monday through Thursday. We don't have them on Friday, so just Monday through Thursday, 10 to 11 a.m., 1 to 3 p.m. That's in Mountain Time. So you can join us through open advising, or if you have a situation where you might need a little bit more time, it might be a little bit more complicated, you need, let's say 30 minutes to discuss with an advisor, you can schedule an appointment with us, again, either in person in our office or virtual. And we have an appointment scheduling software that you'll become familiar with. It's called Navigate. And we have those appointments available throughout the week. So in most cases, any of our advising team can help you. We do have some specialties, but in general, you can meet with any ISSS advisor and we can assist you. So those are the ways that you can get in touch with us. And please do, if you have questions, please let us know.
Great. Thank you, John. I know you have to jet off, so thanks again for your help with this. Okay, and then if students want to get involved in various ISS events and activities, Bronwyn, are you still here, or shall we switch over to Mary?
I am here, but I'm going to ask Mary if she can jump in and cover this.
All righty, thanks. Thanks, Mary.
Yeah. So as Bronwyn said earlier about orientation, we have all of your more informational events, but then we'll also have some really fun events for you to get to meet other people and learn about Fort Collins. So we encourage you to come to those optional activities. And I can't remember if Bronwyn listed any of them off, but we're going to do a scavenger hunt of Old Town, so then you can see the lights and you can see the different places that you could go to in your free time. And we'll talk about other ways to get involved at orientation. But during the semester, we do a lot of different events and activities to allow you to have the opportunity to meet other students, to learn about campus, to get involved, to stay healthy, both mentally and physically. So one of our most popular events is every Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. We have an event called Thank Goodness It's Thursday. And so recently what we've been doing is meeting in a location that's either on or near campus, and it'll change a little bit every week. And then we usually play games or we have something else going on that allows you to just de-stress from the week. So that's every Thursday. When you first arrive for orientation, we may not do it that Thursday, but those starting the week after, it will be a weekly event. And when the weather warms back up, we'll be playing volleyball on Thursdays as well. So that's an outdoor event where you get to play sand volleyball, and all skill levels are welcome. We have people who are beginners and we have people who are a little bit more expert at volleyball, but we don't really care about how good or bad you are at volleyball. We really care that you get to meet other people. We also do some like big events. So in the spring, we're going to do something called World Unity Fair. And this is going to be in April. And it will be an all-day event where we encourage our international students and our different student organizations to share their culture with Fort Collins. And so this is something that will happen on April 8th. If you are interested in participating, it's going to be a really fun day. And then throughout the semester, we do a bunch of other things that kind of like depends on what's going on. We like to do events that are happening in the community so that you are familiar with the community, you're familiar with how to get places, and you have a certain level of independence to do things on your own, because we think that's important for everybody to have. So kind of throughout the semester, we'll also be doing those different things. The best way to figure out what we're doing and where we're doing it and when we're doing it is to check your email. We send a weekly newsletter, and that will have all of the different updates and events that our office puts on. And then we also try to include other events that are happening at CSU and in the community. And then we also have an Instagram account that is pretty active. So if you use Instagram, follow us, and Bronwyn just put it in the chat, csu.international.rams. And so if we have something going on, or if for some reason we have to cancel an event or there's a last minute event, that's a really good place to check to see what we're doing. So we highly encourage you to come to our ISSS programming activities and events. And I'll talk a little bit, I don't know, Lisa, if you want me to talk now or later about some other opportunities outside of ISSS to get involved.
Sure, Mary, you can go ahead and finish.
Okay. And Bronwyn, if I missed anything, please like put it in the chat or just interrupt me and let me know. So I saw a question, is there any active group for hiking at CSU? Yes, we have many active groups for hiking at CSU. Being outdoors is a really big thing here in Colorado. So CSU, I think last time I checked, had somewhere around like 500 or 500 maybe student organizations. That may be a pre-COVID number. So student organizations are student clubs on campus, and that's a really good way to get involved and find an area that you're interested in and then meet people who have those same interests. If you're a little bit overwhelmed by the sheer number of clubs, we have an office in our student center. It's called Slice. You can also look them up. I don't know, Bronwyn, if you can put like Slice, their website in the chat. They offer something called involvement advising. And so you can meet with a current student and tell them all the different things that you're really interested in. If you like hiking or you like playing, I don't know, if you like, I don't know, different things that you enjoy doing, you can share that with them and they'll help you narrow down that big list of items so that you can choose a club that you really want to join. And that's a great way to make friends. Another way to make friends and also stay healthy is go to our gym. It's called the Rec Center. As a CSU student, you can use your RAM card to go in for no additional payment. So you can go into the Rec Center. They offer different classes. That's a great way to meet people if you want to dance or do yoga or something like that. And then if you enjoy playing sports, I recommend joining, they're called intramural sports, and we abbreviate intramural to IM. IM sports are pretty non-competitive sports. It's just a way for you to get outside, stay healthy, play a sport that you enjoy, and then also meet other people. You can join IM sports and play as many as you would like for a $10 fee every semester. So they have all sorts of different sports, the more traditional ones like soccer and basketball. And then they also have some more fun, silly ones like inner tube water polo. And I'm not really sure how to describe what inner tube water polo is. So look that up, just Google it and see what you find. And then if you're eligible to work on campus, that's another great way to get involved. Find an on-campus job and kind of start learning about your community, whether you find a job that's relevant to what you're studying or a job that's completely different to what you're studying, so you get a break from whatever you are studying. So I encourage you to do that. And then finally, the Fort Collins International Center is a community nonprofit that works very closely with our office. And I know Nancy is here today, so if you have questions about this nonprofit, feel free to put them in the chat. But Fort Collins International Center has been working with CSU for a really, really long time. And they do a great job of connecting with international students and kind of helping you with whatever you might need. They offer a bunch of different programs. If you want to practice your English, they offer conversational English classes. If you want to go hiking and you don't have any transportation and you don't want to join a club, but you just want to go hiking once a month, they have an outdoor program where once a month they'll take you on a hike or a snowshoe trip. And They have a women's club as well. So if you have children and you want to meet other mothers, that's a great opportunity. And if you don't have children, that's also a great way to just meet other people. So that's more of a community organization. Not all of the members are students, but it's just a great way if you want to learn more about Fort Collins and meet people outside of CSU, then I encourage you to check their website out and see the different ways you can get involved. So I feel like I just talked a lot. Let me know if I missed anything, Bronwyn or anybody else.
No, that was great, Mary. Thank you so much for all of that. And just a side note, in terms of retention and well-being and satisfaction in your experience at CSU, getting involved in activities and engagement on campus not only promotes retention, but also satisfaction with your experience here at the university, and just makes the experience all that more pleasurable and meaningful to you in the long run. So we do encourage you to get involved in any ways possible. We have lots of opportunities for you to do that. So Greg, and as we're drawing near the sort of the end of our part of the discussion, can you tell us a little bit about how we support and champion students from start to finish?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just wanted to, with this, make a kind of a brief comment in that, as you can tell, you know, we've had a chance to introduce ourselves, but then we've kind of talked about some different things, trying to set your expectations again on what to anticipate when you get to CSU and Fort Collins. And hopefully it's become apparent to you that we are truly here. We're a group of people that actually are passionate about, we love providing an environment that's caring and advocating for our students. And so really the idea of supporting you throughout your entire stay here and helping you to be successful, helping students to become champions in this adventure that they have before them. That's really our goal. From the time that you actually right now, from the time you've been admitted and we're just trying to help prepare you to the time that you near graduation. And as Rochelle had mentioned, towards the very end, there's going to be some post-completion activities that you're going to need to prepare for. And so it is going to be, we're going to be there playing an active role from the time you get here to the time that you depart CSU. And one of the things that you can do to help us is, and we can't express this enough, is to stay in contact with our office. As we mentioned before, those emails that are coming out from our office are extremely important, that are going to help you stay plugged in and in the know in terms of changes that are happening, whether they're academic changes, whether they are immigration changes, anything of that sort. And so one of the things over the years as I've worked with students is those who have been extremely successful in their college career or their graduate school career, that kind of thing, has been for them to not lose contact from us. We're here to help, not only from an academic standpoint, not only from a transitional standpoint and a well-being standpoint, but also from an immigration standpoint. And so our goal is to make sure that you're successful in all of those areas. So really, hopefully that's become apparent with all of these friendly faces and everyone explaining kind of what we do and how we help you. And so as you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, because we will be happy to answer any of those questions as you look towards this adventure that you're about to embark on. So.
Great, thank you, Greg. Any other final comments from others or thoughts before we open it up to student questions? All right, hearing none. We'll open it up to the group, and if there are any questions, please feel free to just unmute, and we'll be happy to address any concerns.
And feel free if you're asking, if you want to ask a question, or if you're so bold to ask a question, feel free to, if you have a camera, turn your cameras on. It's always fun for us to see your smiling faces too, you know, as we interact. But typically we have a lot of questions towards this last 20 minutes here. So.
There is one question in the chat that hasn't been answered, I noticed, which is what is the deadline to defer the spring semester 2023 to the fall semester 2023? Laura or Zach, do you know that one?
I don't know that there's a hard deadline. Obviously, the sooner you do anything, the better. We certainly are going to be deferring folks well into the spring semester. I forget what the deadline is for you. If we've already issued a document to you and you don't show up for the first day of classes, I think it's either a 30 or 60 day period in which you have to change to the next semester. Otherwise, it'll auto cancel. Maybe one of the advisors can confirm that it's 30 or 60 days. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, the sooner you know your plans and let us know, the better. But you definitely have some time to defer to the fall semester. There's no worry of that at this point.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, Zach is talking about like the immigration record, and but in terms of academically speaking, usually the much bigger question is just if you are registered for classes and you know you're not going to make it in time for classes, be talking to our office and make sure that you are dropping those courses before tuition is going to be billed to you, because if you don't drop those courses, CSU is going to expect you to pay for them even if you don't show up for them.
Yeah, so maybe a good rule of thumb would be prior to classes starting would be the best time to drop your classes. And that date would be the 17th of January.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hi, Laura, welcome.
Okay, sorry, I cannot turn on my camera for a reason. I'm trying, but it's not allowing me.
That's okay.
So, oh, there we go. I managed.
There we are.
Hey.
Hey.
Well, first of all, thank you everybody for being here and answering many questions. It's stressful to move abroad. I'm gonna start next spring as a PhD student. And I'm going to be a graduate research assistant. So I have some questions regarding emails I received from the HR department as becoming an employee, from what I understand, to CSU. And I don't know if this is the place where I should make my questions, or if you have an email that I should contact to start communications. I want to know if there's any processes that I should be doing now before I arrive to CSU regarding insurances or any other things, or things that I have to do to get my social security number here in Guatemala before I make it to the States, or it's everything that I should be doing at the moment of my arrival? That's my concern right now.
Yeah, that's a great question, Laura. And so what I would suggest is that, so we have a system called RAM Up that is going to kind of walk you through the onboarding process. But with your graduate assistantship letter, I believe that there's probably a contact on there if you have questions, or maybe not, but the grad school is going to be able to direct you towards the appropriate HR person to talk with. Right. Just kind of coming through, because with our graduate assistants, it's similar to our onboarding of our professional staff as well, okay? And so I've just recently gone through that just 5 months ago. And so there were things I needed to do before the first day that I started that I needed to upload and communicate. And some of that was even enrolling in the insurance options and all of those kind of things. And so it is going to be important that you contact our HR department. I'm not sure if we have like an email, or if they have like just a general HR email that we can drop in the chat. If someone can kind of quickly look out on the HR department and see if they have a general email. That's going to be the best place to direct you to as you're kind of asking some of these questions, because they're not necessarily immigration or international questions, but they're still going to be a concern that you have. And so, yes, there should be ways to get answers to these questions, Laura. So.
Well, that was it. Thank you very much for everything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And with regard to your Social Security, that you would have to apply to once you've entered the United States.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and typically they say to wait, is it 10 to 14 days after entering? Michelle or Aaron?
Yeah, that's pretty typical. That process can be kicked off fairly close to arrival, which could be as early as 30 days for F1s before January 17th. So if someone comes in quite early, then we're going to need to then register their records. So you'll get emails from our office about doing IDR, Immigration Document Review. So that's where we're going to look at your documents, including your I-94. The I-94 is the arrival record. And that can take a couple days once you actually submit that, and then after that is when we can actually start looking at getting your Social Security number process started. And I will put a link. Oh no, never mind. Melinda put the link, so that's a really helpful link that goes over the Social Security number kind of whole process.
Okay. And to open a bank account, do you know if I need to have a Social Security number?
I have heard that some banks require it, but it isn't it isn't a federally imposed on all international students kind of thing. It's maybe going to be on a bank by bank basis. The campus banks shouldn't be requiring that, I believe, because they're quite used to relating with international students. But go ahead, someone was talking.
Yeah, First National Bank, which is the one on campus, will not require a Social Security number. And so they're going to be a really good option for that. And there are some other banks in town that also don't.
First National Bank, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you are here on Monday, January 9th, that morning, we will actually have First National Bank here in Laurel Hall, and you can just come here and set up your bank account while you're here. If you are here before then and want to do it before, or if you're here after, you can go there in the Laurie Student Center on the main level, and you can also go there and set up a bank account there anytime.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Any others? This is your prime opportunity to ask the source. All right, well, hearing none, we do have a couple of ways. Erin had put information about how to connect with the International Student Advisors through our general ISSS@colostate.edu email. You have the Instagram account. Do we also have a Facebook?
Yeah, so I can put the Facebook group is a better way if you're looking to find roommates, if you're looking for housing. I think that's kind of one of the better places that you can do that. We don't generally post as much of what's happening there. Occasionally we will, but the best way to follow what's going on with us is on our Instagram account. But I did put the Facebook group down there.
Great, thanks. That's a good way, like as Bronwyn said, to connect with others. We also have some student groups on campus, that the Indian student group, the other Saudi Arabian student groups, other cultural groups that you can also reach out to for support. And so we'd encourage you to do that as well. So if there aren't any other questions, we want to thank you all for taking the time to meet with us and to share your thoughts and questions. And I don't know, Greg, if you have any final parting thoughts you want to share?
Stay tuned, because we will have another pre-arrival session that's kind of more preparing for your adventure, so to speak. So that's going to give you kind of more insight. I did notice that we dropped a link to our pre-arrival document that is a pretty comprehensive resource to help you prepare as you plan to get on the plane and land in Colorado and get to CSU and all of that kind of fun stuff. But we are also going to have a presentation on that coming up, I believe, in December. So stay tuned. I don't have the exact date there, but you will receive an invite to that, and I'll give you one more opportunity to connect with us and learn a little bit more about how you can prepare for this exciting adventure that you're going to be coming on. And other than that, it has been an extremely great opportunity to chat with some of you all, and hopefully you can tell you're getting a feeling that when you get here, there are going to be people that are smiling and here to greet you, and really this is just an opportunity to get to know, introduce us to you, and know that you're going to be in good hands when you get here. So we are glad that you attended. Thank you so much, and we will chat with you soon at another pre-arrival session, TBD in the near future.
December 7th, actually, Greg.
December 7th.
December 7th at the same time, 8 a.m. Mountain Time.
All right, and we've got one. How can I reset my NetID password? Does anyone have any insight on that as far as resetting their NetID password? It's a good question. I don't know.
I posted a link, but
perfect.
I just Googled Colo State NetID, and that hub has your communication, FAQ, everything. So if you need to get in contact with Colorado State IT to get that sorted, then that contact information is on that page.
Perfect. Well, have a great evening, morning, afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world. And we look forward to chatting with you again soon. Have a great day.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye now.
We do still have some students that are asking questions. So if you had a question and are waiting for an answer, we can try to get to that.
There's one for where to meet other Arab students.
Yeah, that's I followed up to ask if there's a specific country, because so for example, the Omani club, the Kuwaiti club, yeah, okay. So they're a little bit more active, and I can put, I believe the Kuwaiti students have an Instagram account. Let's see, hold on. I can grab a link for student boards.
Thanks, Brahman, for providing all the links and other contact information. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so the Kuwaiti students, the best way, they have this Instagram account, and sorry, it just cut off the letter. So that's going to be one of the best ways that you can reach out to them. You can also contact one of their club members, and I just put that email in the chat there. Alicia, if you're still on here, yes. If you message me your email address in this chat, you just direct message me and I have your permission, then I can send your email out to other students from Nepal and ask that they connect with you. I can't share their information with you, but I can share your information with them with your permission. So if you put that email in a direct message to me, I can do that. Perfect. If anyone else has any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat before we head off. If there are not, I think I will give it another minute, and otherwise we'll hop off and close down the Zoom. So you have 60 seconds to type in your question. And if it takes longer than 60 seconds, type that you're trying to send us a question.
You can always unmute and ask the question too. So
yes.
And Sally, I did actually provide you with a link to recover your NetID. You would put in your NetID number and then a recovery email, and then it should send a new link. So, and it looks like Yemi says, I don't mind if I can be connected to other students from Nigeria.
Sure.
So, and I think actually one of the ways you could do that as well, Yemi, is to go to our Facebook page and actually leave a comment there too. And I think students that are connected there will actually respond to you as well. So Bronwyn, do you have any other ideas on that?
Yeah, I just, same thing. I just told Alicia, Yemi, if you just want to message me your email address, I can send a message to other Nigerian students. And I can email them with your information. The same thing I just mentioned to Alicia. Oh, hold on, sorry. And there is also a club. It's called the Imani Club, and it's for African graduate students. The president for that club is Nuruddin. I did just post his email in the chat. You can also do that. But Yemi, if you send me a message with your email address, I can send a message to other Nigerian students as well to connect you.
All right. I will tell you what, thanks all. It was great to chat with you all. And I look forward to meeting you at either a session in the future or when you arrive on campus. So have a great day.
Yeah. Bye-bye now.
There are other students from Ethiopia here. Also, if you want to get connected with them, you can put your email in the chat and I can send a message to them with your information. Joy, I got your message. There are Indonesian students as well. Same thing, if you're from somewhere and want to connect with someone, send me your email and let me know either who you're wanting to connect with and where you're from if you haven't shared that already, and I can make that connection for you on email.
Okay, we've reached our time. Thanks, Bronwyn.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. So Yemi, if you are wanting to connect with other students, I have not yet gotten your email. And I'm gonna hop off in just a second. I put my email there in the chat. If you do want me to connect you with other students, you can send me an email at my email address as well. All right, thank you everyone. Have a great day. Hopefully see some of you, all of you next week for the next webinar. Have a great day. Emmy, got your email. All right, everyone, take care. And yes, I can connect you with Iranian students. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.